Hey everybody, I'm Dane Sanders. I want to welcome you to Fast Track Coaching. I am here in Newport Coast, California with my dear friends Aaron and Jeff Youngren, and we are enjoying some wine by the coast. And we don't often drink on set, but when we do, we drink well. And that's thanks to the Youngers. Hey, thanks so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. It's
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Good to have us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Good to have us.
Good to have us.
Immortalized.
I need more wine. I need more wine. Yeah. Cheers.
Well, this is not the first time the Youngers have been on, but the reason I keep asking them to come on the show is because they have done an amazing work both with their own studio as well as empowering other photographers around the country and beyond. And there's some method to your madness. It's not just because you're clever and creative. And by the way, if you're new to Fast Track Coaching, to give you some context here, the reason we have these conversations is it's meant to just be a conversation, a short one, maybe like 30 minutes or so, to help you move your business and your creativity forward just a little bit this week. It's not meant to solve everything. It's just meant to keep momentum around implementation and actually taking ground with your business. And we hope that this conversation contributes to that. And you should also know, too, that Adorama are the folks that underwrite this thing and make it possible. So if you can jump on the Twitter and say thanks, Adorama, we'd appreciate it. But in that, we want to jump right into the conversation. And if you're watching this live, jump on the chat, which is right underneath the player, and engage. Jeff and Aaron are on with me right now, and we'd love to engage there. If you're watching on the replay, no problem. But you can always reach out to, I'm at Dane Sanders on Twitter, and you're at the Youngrens on Twitter. So without further ado, let's jump into the conversation.
Great.
I want to talk specifically about the way in which you are empowering photographers around finding their target, around finding their bullseye. And that is something that I'm in a lot of conversations with a lot of photographers, and the two conversations I hear most is how should I price and how do I get more clients?
Yeah, exactly.
And given that, if you could actually answer this magic one question of how do I get more clients, or even who these people are, I'd like to hear you guys talk a little bit about really what are your underpinning beliefs here? Like, what is it that's driving the idea behind being able to even target someone in the first place? So talk a little bit about the process you've gone through in your own business, and then what you're trying to do in helping other people.
Yeah.
Why don't you start us off?
Well, it's a really interesting conversation, and a few years ago, Jeff and I began taking a look at our clientele, and we began taking a look at the brides and grooms that we were shooting, and we realized that there was this really common thread of people that we just loved working with. And when we actually
let me jump in as we're going live, because what you are saying isn't that all of your clients had a common thread. It was just of all of your clients, you found a certain segment of that population that just had a resonance with
There was a handful each year that we would shoot them, and we would just feel so inspired creatively, emotionally. We'd feel so connected to them, and we just would really, really enjoy them. It wasn't all of them, but we started noticing that it was just a handful each year.
Yeah.
Got it.
It was this core group of clients that we just connected with on a level beyond photography, and it made shooting them and working with them so easy and enjoyable. And when we finally took the time to take a look at those clients and say, how can we get more of them? Because that's what we want. We want to shoot more of these folks. We finally discovered the commonalities between them, and we learned how to target more of those kinds of people. And what was really interesting was when we did work with these folks, they were the people who gave us the most referrals. They're the ones who loved us the most.
So it really was a mutual kind of a resonance or connection.
They connected with us, we connected with them. And we finally realized that those people were our ideal clients. And this whole idea of discovering who our ideal client is really came into focus for us. And that really changed our business. I mean, the decisions that we made about how we did our marketing, about how we, what we put out there on our blog and our website, about the kinds of gifts we gave people, the kind of client experience that we provided. We learned that we needed to connect with those folks, and we learned how it is that we can connect with them.
Okay, so this is powerful because you and I, the three of us, were talking offline before we started today, and what seems very common, and I have a hunch some of you guys who are at home watching this can resonate with this or relate with this. It's just so tempting to go, look, if they're paying me money, I'm going to shoot them. And what I'm hearing you say isn't like turn down money. It's saying highest and best use. If you can have the best possible scenario with a transaction between you and your ideal client that is actually predictable, that there are some telltale signs that you can kind of identify
Right.
and target out. My first question, I have a hunch some folks at home are asking this, is that doable in advance of shooting a whole bunch of weddings and seeing a certain segment of that group kind of fitting in? Can you be proactive in that, or do you have to just do trial and error and wait for it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, especially
Yeah.
for folks that are just starting out and they're trying to get business.
Yeah, I think that the thing that is interesting is when we have these conversations with photographers about finding their ideal clients is the earlier on in your business that you can get this and figure out who your ideal client is and know who it is, the better you're going to be set up for success. I mean, I don't know about you, but like in our first few years of business, we were doing that. Wherever, if money was coming in, if people wanted to sign a contract, we're in.
Yeah, it's a pragmatic reality.
Right.
You feed the kids, you do the job.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that doesn't need to change. But if we knew from the get-go, here's our ideal client, we would know exactly what kind of marketing we need to do, what clients we needed to recklessly pursue. Like when an inquiry comes in, we're like, this is ideal. We need to stop at nothing to like get this. We got to book this wedding.
See, I love that on a number of fronts. Number one, I'm not hearing you say you have to have shot 247 weddings before you know the right, like a certain sample size or something. And instead, what you're saying is like, well, as quick as you possibly can, figure this thing out.
Right.
Yeah.
And there may be some things, I'm guessing, that you can begin to look for. Like, what were the identifiers for you as you began to kind of segment that out?
Yeah, we have a whole three-dimensional, really in-depth profile that we've built over the years of who our ideal client is.
Is it a single client? Like, is it a name?
It actually has. It actually has a name. It is. I know.
I didn't think we'd actually get to share this. This is fun.
I know.
Is it Frida? Is it Frida?
It's not Frida.
Frida Hedelberg. Is that what it is?
Oh.
How did I know?
That's a good
I've
idea.
heard that somewhere.
It's really funny because this profile is actually a fictional person. I don't think that for anyone your ideal client actually fully 100% exists with every single ideal quality that you want.
Kind of like a spouse.
Yes. Everyone, yes. I think it's really interesting because your ideal clients, you're shooting for people that have, I would say, 80% of the qualities, but I don't think that the actual 100% profile that you have really actually exists. You're just shooting for that.
Right.
So,
what's our name?
What's our name?
Yeah.
It's a combination of several clients, and they are it's Sarah Emily.
So I'm noticing, first of all, it's the bride, not the bride and the groom.
That's true.
The target.
Yes, and if you sometimes I actually name it Sarah Emily Den.
That's right.
Who's the den?
That's right.
What's that?
Who's the den?
It's one of our grooms.
Got it. Oh, so one guy. Was
Yep.
it? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So it's a
Was it
compliment.
feminine?
What's that?
Was it homosexual?
No.
How did he get on the bride side? This is a great client. Perfect fit.
Perfect fit.
All right.
Perfect
I
fit.
mean, we have so many brides and grooms that are perfect.
Okay.
And so for us, some folks are looking for an ideal bride, which is totally fine. Some folks are actually looking for ideal grooms. They connect with grooms more than they do with brides.
Totally.
They're looking for that.
Totally.
For us, it's definitely both. I would say it's truly and honestly a mixture of the bride and groom that we're looking for that's ideal.
Okay, so I want to investigate that a little bit more, but I am curious around, obviously you guys are committed wedding photographers. You shoot other things for sure, but your brand is really committed to weddings.
Yes.
And I'm curious if you think that this would translate across genres. Like, could a portrait photographer, could a commercial shooter, or could a editorial advertising National Geographic photographer, would any of those fit too in this kind of profile?
Definitely.
It would.
Definitely. I think that's definitely true.
Okay.
It's, in my mind, this isn't just a photography thing. In my mind, it's a marketing thing.
Okay.
You're looking for your ideal customer. You're looking for your market.
Okay.
And it's different for different kinds of companies. You have the companies that need a mass market. For them, their ideal market might be someone who can pay the price that they offer for their products. Walmart, they're just looking for a certain segment of the population that's very large.
Right.
But they are looking for someone that can pay a certain price for their products.
Got it.
When you get to the more boutique businesses where your number of transactions diminishes over the year,
But the per averages go up.
yes, you're looking for a much more specific clientele.
Mhm.
So when you're a photographer and you're only doing, say, 20 weddings 100 portrait sessions, that sort of thing, then your number of transactions goes down, and you need to be more specific about who your clientele is.
Got it.
So in my mind, it definitely applies to portrait photographers. I think it also applies to other kinds of photography where you're looking for certain kinds of businesses that you want to shoot for, certain kinds of campaigns that you want to shoot for, certain kinds of fashion, that sort of thing.
Okay. Now, obviously, this is a half-hour conversation, and I, people at home watching, just see, you're not going to hear this and go, oh, okay, immediately abracadabra. It's a process to kind of soul search and figure this out.
Oh, definitely.
And I know that, like at your workshops, you actually walk people through an extended, in-depth process in that regard. But in broad strokes, as folks are at home and they're watching, give us some categories. Like, where would they begin to look? Are they looking at demographic data, eye color, what they're driving? What are their pieces?
Yeah.
Because I think that it seems like in mass marketing, it is all demographics. It's all about, female, age 27 to 36, whatever,
Right.
And it seems like in boutique business, it's not just the demographic data. There could be more information.
So I'll talk about that, and then why don't you talk about an example of like an ideal profile?
Cool.
So I think that when it comes to talking about ideal clients, the easy knee-jerk thing is to do those mass market demographic stuff.
Okay, so I think that there's gold here, and I really want to slow things down, because what I'm hearing you say is that there is a distinction between the evidence or the fruit that are data points that are helpful to kind of, you can see them, they're obvious, they're right in front of you, pause to notice them. But there's even kind of deeper information underneath the evidence, like roots to the fruit, that if we could get handles on that, on those values, then you could even get more dynamic, where you can kind of engage on different levels. So, give me some examples of what an example would be of an evidence or a data point and how that relates to a value.
Great.
Definitely. So it really makes sense when you talk about an example of a profile. And so one ideal client, and the one I'm describing is actually not our ideal client. This is a profile that someone actually came up with in one of our workshops.
Okay.
And it's crazy how different everyone's profiles are.
Hey, when we get to the end of the day and everybody starts sharing profiles, it's like
so different.
Way different and so spot on.
Yeah.
Well, that's helpful, because I keep pointing to the folks at home. I know for myself too. It's tempting to paint in broad strokes and go, well, we're wedding photographers. So really, how different can a client be?
Yeah, I'm kind of like that person that must be my same clientele.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's so interesting how different we all are and how we really connect with different people for different reasons. So this is one profile, and I don't remember the actual sentence or the name or anything like that. But their ideal clients come from a family that's a working class family.
Okay.
So their parents are the kind of parents
like blue collar, hardworking.
Yes, working 3 jobs and a night shift to put their kids through school, working very hard to give their kids a better life than what they have. And so that instills a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work, and usually the kids they have a very tight-knit relationship with their parents. They respect them a lot, and they say, wow, like, you gave me the life I have today. So the clients usually put themselves through college, and usually like a state school, because that's what they can afford.
Sure.
They're working a job along with that, or they do really well in school to get scholarships to go to college. So they're putting themselves through their education because their family can't afford it. But it's really, really important to them because they know it's going to give them a better life.
Okay, so I know what people are saying at home. And you guys anticipated this already too, which is like, well, why would you ever go after that client? Because they're going to be money conscious. It's just a bad. How is that?
It gets better.
No disrespect to Michael, but how is this the high-end product?
Exactly. Well, what's interesting about this profile is that so these are the kind of people, they put themselves through school.
Got it.
But they're also usually they usually have a post-grad degree. So a master's, a PhD, they're searching for a really high education so that they can really have a better life.
They're bootstrappers.
What's that?
Bootstrappers.
Yeah. They're the self-made person.
Got it.
And they take a lot of pride in that success.
Yep.
And they take a lot of pride in the fact that they can give money back to their family. They can give their family a better life. They can afford nicer things, nicer cars.
Than their folks could.
Right. But they take a lot of pride in it. And in some ways they're a little bit flashy about it, and that, like, I made this. This is my life, and I did it because of my parents.
Got it.
So they're the kind of...
And I'm guessing even, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm guessing even flashy could look different depending on what context it is. Like flashy in NorCal versus flashy in SoCal is pretty different.
Totally different.
Yeah, and so people can buy the same brands, but they buy them for different values, for different reasons.
Got it.
And so understanding why they're buying that kind of purse, why they're buying that kind of car, is really important, because it doesn't matter that they have it necessarily, it matters why they have it,
right,
and why they made that certain decision.
So at the very least, any of us could ask the question, whoever has ever hired you ever, I wonder why they hired me.
Right.
Now, in the market research I've done, if we went back to the client and said, why did you hire me? Which a lot, I hear that a lot, like, go ask your clients. But oftentimes people don't know why
it's not
they
really
hire.
helpful.
Yeah, it can be really deceiving.
Yeah, which is a great point.
Thank you.
It's a really great
I'm not
point.
reading the cue card at all. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. I don't think your clients could tell you, well, I came from this kind of family, so this is why I make my purchase decisions. I mean, that's not something that most people really know about themselves. So it's hard for a client to tell you those values. You kind of have to discover them and dig for them a little bit. So,
and one of the best ways to do that, like we found, is to actually sit down and think of, like we were talking about at the beginning, how we had those 4 or 5 clients each year that were just nails, and we loved them. Starting to write down those people and starting to write down stuff about them and see where the commonalities are, and when you find those commonalities that do get shown, the fruits of their roots. Yeah. Like then you can start to think about the values and kind of figure it out, and it makes it an easier conversation rather than trying to start at the values and move the other way.
Yeah.
Totally. Do you ever, because I'm guessing especially with those clients, they're probably friends of yours at this point, do you ever sit down and say, you know what I make up about why you did this or why you did that, like just to see if there's a resonance with them? Have you guys ever done it?
I think in not so many words, yes.
Yeah.
I think that we've had conversations about so why do you love brewing your own beer in your garage?
Right.
Why do you love wine so much? Yeah. Why do you love...
so your ideal client is an alcoholic, is what I'm getting.
Yes.
Most of that. Cheers.
When it comes to like wine and craft beer, it's really interesting because, yes, usually our clients love things like really great wine. They love craft beer, not just beer in general. Right. They love craft beer. No. And they also love mixology, but they love them all for the same reason.
Totally.
So it's a really interesting.
It's funny. People have mixed thoughts on this, and I don't know much about it, but the lore of love languages, it sounds a little bit like getting to know your client's love language.
Totally.
And that could get expressed in multiple ways, but really tuning in with that, speaking their language, you'll find a resonance, and then that'll expand.
Absolutely.
So, talk a little bit about this systematic approach that you take people through in your work, because this could be gold. I mean, if someone could figure this out, it seems like the algorithm riddle that could shift things. But not say it's easy or quick, but that it could be powerful. People get their handles on this.
Yeah. So what we do is we actually start with those surface qualities because that's what you can see.
Okay.
And we start doing that with yourself. So we start discovering who you are, discovering what your likes, your interests, and your hobbies are.
Yeah.
And then we discover what your value systems are as a person.
Excellent.
And then once we've discovered that about yourself, which in itself is like a really cool exercise, so do that if you have the opportunity. We go beyond that and we look at the current clients that you have, or if you don't have any clients yet, we look at the folks in your network that you would like to be your clients.
Got it.
You're like,
you think you'd like.
Yes. You're just like, those are the people that I really, really want to shoot. I want to shoot their wedding. I want to shoot their family.
And we do that in such a way where we don't want people to sit there and think about, okay, what people do I know that have a lot of money? Because it's like I'm going after people that have a lot of money.
Right.
It's just like, forget about the money. What people do you genuinely enjoy being around? Because that's when we would feel really fulfilled with our ideal clients, it was just because we really enjoyed being around them.
Yeah.
We were totally got to be creative because they trusted us and we felt like a great connection. And so as we're digging through it, it's just figuring out exactly who you like.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So not who you think you should, like really suspending the financial concerns, any of it, just putting it aside and going, where do I feel most at home, comfortable in my own skin, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Got it.
So we start with those folks, and we look for commonalities between them, and we start looking at what likes, interests, and hobbies that they have.
Got it.
And just brainstorming that, and then looking for commonalities. And then we go from there, and we start to dig into the values, and we start saying what kind of backgrounds do they have, what kind of schools did they go to, what kinds of what kinds of activities do they really enjoy, and why do we believe that they enjoy those activities? And then that part is where the magic happens, and that's when the light bulbs go off, the connections are made, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is the value of my ideal clients, and I totally connect with it.
Wow.
And so from there, we actually build that kind of one-sentence profile.
Yeah.
And it's so fun watching these profiles emerge. I mean, they're so different and so specific that it's really remarkable.
Wow. Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's funny, as you're talking, my mind is spinning, because it's probably one of the top 2 most deeply felt challenges, and yet I'm struck by, even if people knew this, that's just to get to the starting line, and then there's all this work.
What do you do
with this information? Right?
Yeah.
Where are these magical people that I want to go hang out with and become friends with and feel comfortable in skin with, and have them pay me money to hang out with them, and take their picture?
Right.
Yeah.
So as this profile begins to get built and refined, I'm guessing it continues to refine over time, and you're getting to know yourself better, which I'm guessing could inform your own branding, which then could match kind of the hand in glove.
Exactly.
You with your client.
Exactly.
As those things continue, what are some first steps that can be made that can capitalize on this insight?
Yeah. That's your territory.
Just says that because it all has to do with content marketing. And what we do from there...
I love this, and it's really important. My friend Ann Handley, who's been on the show, might be at home, saying, slow down! Tell them what that means!
Exactly.
So what does content marketing mean first? Then let's go for that.
Yep, exactly. So content marketing is this really cool kind of marketing, and it's basically putting free information out there in order to be viewed as an expert in your field.
Okay.
Most folks do content marketing through blogging. That's a big way that people do it. This whole thing we're doing here is a form of content marketing. We're putting...
No, okay, so my audience, they're a little different. They're very smart cookies, and they know what I'm doing in advance. So you guys get this. It's providing, it's making a connection with people. If this is valuable, you tune in. If it's not, you tune in the channel.
Right.
Which is what sounds like you're creating content can come in multiple forms, I'm guessing.
Yep.
It can be written, could be... I mean, I think of one of my favorite content marketing pieces I saw last year was Jeremy Cowart's Portrait of Christ he did at Easter, where he did this cool multimedia thing, and it was really just a personal expression. But by making it available to the masses, his content became a magnet for attention.
Great.
And is that a fair?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so what's really key with content marketing is being able to connect with your audience.
Okay.
And what people need to remember is that the size of the audience doesn't matter. It's how connected your audience is to you. So a small but well-connected audience that loves what you do is way more powerful than a big audience
who's apathetic.
Yeah, who doesn't really care about what you're providing or who you are. So we all need to remember that, because we all know the temptation is to want to have a huge audience and have a lot of people know who you are. But in the end, that's not actually going to provide, a paycheck. It's not going to provide clients who love what you do.
That last part in particular is striking. It's just not fulfilling. I mean, to have it's like being an acquaintance in a crowd versus being at your birthday party. It's a kind of a different deal.
Definitely.
Okay, so with that information in hand and building out, connect the dots between this targeted audience and content marketing.
So what you can do is using your blog or using videos or using social media avenues and outlets.
Or paintings and songs.
Absolutely. Dance, interpretive dance.
I do that a lot. They don't tune in. I have a very small market. very small.
Very niche. Watercolor.
There's so using the information that you have with your clients, what makes it so powerful to know what the values are with your ideal clientele, you can know how to connect with those values and how you share the same values. So when it comes to content marketing, all you're doing is you're creating this picture of happiness, and you're figuring out, You're figuring out what your ideal client's picture of happiness is. What is going to make them the most happy? What kind of purchase decisions are they going to make that'll make them really happy? And then how can you be the purchase that makes them really happy? So you're creating this picture of just like, this is what life is like if you hire me.
If you give me permission to be in your life.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
And then you're inserting your business into that picture of happiness through your blogging, through your content marketing. People read your blog and they say, I like this person, and I'm going to be really happy if I hire them because I'm going to have such a great time. Because we connect on a value that's more than photography.
Now, this is great. I want to time out for a second because I think the folks, if you're listening to this, imagine right now the brands or the people or whatever you consume online, does this resonate with you? Are the people that you give permission to in your own life to pay attention to, that whose your dollars go out to, don't you find that this is true? And this is where it's interesting to talk about the mechanics of marketing, because it can sound a little bit like manipulation. Like, how can I gear everything? And in reality, there is a sense of intention behind it, certainly.
You have to be strategic.
Yeah, and in that, it's also the nature of how I know I make purchase decisions. It seems like an intelligent way to go about going to market, and I think that connecting the dots between starting at the beginning with who am I, out of that building a business around that, around an idealized target, and putting out content that's free, for goodness sakes. That's basically a big invitation to want to connect to you, and then if they want to keep connecting at a deeper level, you can justify that because they're compensating you. It seems to resonate.
And I think the beauty of this whole thing is that because you're starting with yourself and figuring out who you are, that means that your marketing is truly authentic. It's real. You're actually being who you are. You're not creating a facade. You're not creating a personality. You're building a brand and a marketing strategy around who you actually are and the people that you actually connect with. So
I can see that in there's got to be, I mean, when I think of actors, like, they aren't necessarily themselves. They're actually creating a persona and they're acting. So is that a universal, or is that really to service-based businesses where... Because I'm with you. Like, I would much prefer to be comfortable in my own skin, not have to shift gears when I'm online or offline. What you see is what you get, kind of a WYSIWYG approach. But there's got to be examples of like that guy who's in that Dictator movie. He's coming to mind right now. Like, he's a persona that he's creating that people are connected to, and who knows if he's really like that in person. But in that branded space, that's what he is. Is it possible for and actually, some photographers actually come to mind right now of people who are like, I'm not sure that's really them.
But it's real.
But the persona, they're committed to the persona, and the persona seems to resonate with a certain segment. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it makes sense. But I think what we're proposing is that you can be yourself. You can be comfortable in your own skin. You can be what you see is what you get. And be shooting your ideal clients. Like, that's the whole point. That's why we start with ourselves. That's why we move through our values and connect with our clients' values.
I love that.
And that means it makes less work for us. We can just be us. And it's not...
Well, it's a huge... What you're saying to the planet is, I'm enough. Like, I could actually have a market that could take care of what I need to take care of in this industry. And I'm with you. I mean, that's a huge kind of underpinning of my own worldview and belief system. But I do know that not all photographers believe that. They believe they have to pretend that there's something they're not in order to have a market. But you're saying, no way, that's not true.
Not true at all. I think, I mean, it's something like where you're, like, I think a great example I've heard other photographers talk about is, if you know your ideal clients drive a BMW, you need to drive a BMW. And it's like taking that idea and being like, okay, it's not about a BMW, it's about the why behind it. And maybe it's about, maybe that particular client's value behind buying a BMW is because it's a great, high quality, it's made well, it's done with great intention. Well, there's a lot of other cars that are like that at different price points that you can buy for the same value with a different budget.
Okay, that's an amazing. So a couple years ago, I don't own this car anymore, but a couple years ago, no, this is perfect because I had the same mindset I was going through, and I was like, okay, I want clients that drive BMWs. And I was like, 5 Series, 3 Series, 7 Series. I can't afford any of them, but maybe I should be able to buy. And I was wrestling with it, and finally I was like, I'm in Newport Beach, and I was looking around, I was like, every third car is a 5 Series BMW. There's no standout here. So could there be both the value set and a way to stand out where multiple values could kind of get checked off the list? So when I've got a Ford Flex. And at the time, Ford Flexes there weren't very many, but they were just like, that's a weird looking vehicle on the road. And I can't tell you, I got way more kind of
recognize, notice.
Yeah, just kind of. Well, really, it was more just a conversation piece. Like,
what's that thing?
What is that thing? Exactly.
Yeah.
And we didn't kill ourselves every month with a payment. So that kind of, I love what you're saying, because it's not as simple as monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
Yeah.
It takes a degree of thoughtfulness to really connect the values to the goal and to the behavior.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Your ideal client is not, you don't have to be twins, you know. And one example would be, Jeff and I have 2 scooters, and not a lot of people have scooters, and I don't know any of our clients that actually have scooters, but our clients love things like sailing, they love things like hiking, they love things that they do together, and they can do with community. And
so it could be a tandem bicycle and it would work.
Totally.
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And in fact, we just shot an engagement session where a couple bought a tandem bike because they love doing it, and they're like, we just need to buy one because we love doing it so much.
Wow.
And it's the same value, but expressed in different ways.
Right. This is powerful.
Right.
So I know you guys cover this information at your workshop, and just so you guys know at home, you don't have to go to the workshop. We're going to talk about it. But I do want to be like, I'm listening to this. I'm like, I'm going to your workshop. Like this is
anytime you're welcome.
This is a power. Really.
There actually is wine in the workshop.
There too. So in that, I want to make sure people can know when they send, because they're not up all the time, but when they are available, they often sell it quickly.
Right.
Where do they go? They go to theyoungers.com/blog, or where would they go?
Theyoungers.com/workshops. Is the place to go.
Okay.
And
but if they go to theyoungers.com, they can click on photographers or something.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's all you need to know.
Okay.
And we've actually also have a whole website just dedicated to photographers. So that's theyoungers.com/photographers. Again, you can get to that just from theyoungers.com. We talk about a lot of this stuff, a lot of this content marketing stuff, a lot of this ideal client stuff. It's all on there for you guys to take a look at and check out.
Cool.
And have a conversation there about. But yeah, the workshops are theyoungers.com/workshops. We're going to be coming all over the U.S. this year, which is going to be fun. But
cool.
Yeah, it's definitely really good.
Okay, so for folks who don't have the opportunity to get to the workshop, give them like 3 walkaways. Like they can just right now hit pause on this and go do something. What would they go do?
Well, I think the first thing that you need to know is that you are absolutely good enough, and like what you are is awesome. And so you don't need to be anybody else. You don't need to change who you are in order to shoot clients that you love. So that's the first thing.
And by the way, just as validation of that first thing, look at these 2. I mean, Erin, you can kind of say, she's kind of got it together.
Yeah.
Not this guy. And,
Nope.
and he is booking weddings. My goodness. How is that? It's not just, you don't even see her sometimes. He is good enough.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Sorry to diverge right there. But.
No, it's true. But just know that like what you have to offer is amazing. And
it's really true.
There is absolutely ideal clients out there for everyone, and it's not, we don't all share the same ideal clients. So that's the first thing you need to know.
Well, that's got to be freeing, even just for envy and comparison, and
totally.
Like being able to be in community with other photographers.
It diffuses that whole anxiety.
If people actually believed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So double dog dare, number 1. believe you actually dog bound it good enough. Okay.
Yeah, and I think like just like know you guys, like this is us. This is who we are. Yeah. Like this, we've done this. This works. This is real. It's not just a little ploy. Like it's for real. Like be yourself. That's good. That's the first thing. That's like the preface to anything.
Yeah.
And then as far as like steps that you guys could do, like takeaways right now, I think the first thing to do would be to sit down and really just. I mean, if you're the journaling type, that's great. If you like to write, that's great. If you like to sit in front of your computer and type, that's fine too. And just write out things about you, like what things make you tick. What do you really enjoy? What sorts of brands do you enjoy? What sorts of things do you like to do? And why do you like to do them? And then I would then go through and start thinking about some clients that you really loved, and look at those things that they love and look at their values and see how they overlap. When you start to do that, I think your picture starts becoming more clear, and you can start refining it. Once you have a picture of this ideal client, even if it's fuzzy, you can start aiming for it, and you can know when you're hitting it. And as you hit it more, you start to know, this is right, this is it, this is it. So your values don't change really easily. Those things are not all over the place. Those are part of who you are. And so those are going to be pretty constant. And so as you develop that picture of your ideal client that's based on their values and your values and how those intersect, that's not going to change overnight. Those are going to change slowly. And I think evolve is a good word because it's going to be slow. It's not going to be these drastic up and down shifts all over the place.
That makes sense. And I'm guessing it's probably a combination of you evolving, you understanding who they are better.
You understanding yourself better.
Right.
your art evolving, your photographic style, that sort of thing.
But what's really fun is as this thing becomes more targeted and more like clear, you can be sitting down to dinner across the table from your clients and start asking them questions, and you know their answers before they answer them. And when that happens, we're like high-fiving under the table. We're like, yes, this is good. And so that's like the fun part.
Well,
you know?
My mind is really spinning. No, it's so exciting because you're giving language to. There's something in I use different language for similar things, but. Just this morning, I was in a conversation with photographers, and I was trying to make the case for like you always get to market. Like it doesn't matter where you are, you can get into an interesting conversation with somebody and find resonance with them. And when you do, just so you know, they want to hire you if they can find an excuse to do it. And it's a matter of being open to it. Yet, oftentimes for me, I like to turn it off and like become an introvert and kind of, and I miss these. I make assumptions about them. I make and I let myself off the hook, and then I can complain later like I don't have enough business. When in reality, if we just get outside, we know ourselves, we know what we're looking for, we can just sniff it out.
It's
powerful.
really true.
Absolutely.
Powerful.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being on the show. And again, if you're at home, go to theyoungers.com, check them out. Their workshop stuff's there if you want to pay attention to that. I would. I might see you at one very soon. And again, thanks to Adorama for making this thing possible. And thanks to you guys. So cheers.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys.
Cheers.